So I don't know how much you know about the history and the fall of the Soviet Union, but all of the countries behind the Iron Curtain, including Russia, all of their leaders stepped down, except for Romania. Romania is a violent revolt. Ceausescu, who was in charge of country at the time, the people, they drag him into the street, him and his wife, murdered on television.
Oh, wow.
In Romania. So very different than how it happened in the rest of these countries. All the other countries, they see the wall is coming down in Berlin. The tide of history is changing, you know. Even the Gorbachev, who is in charge of Soviet Union at this time, he stepped down from his post. No one kicked him out, nothing like this. He stepped down. This happened in all the countries. Yugoslavia, you know, which is now Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, all these places, the leaders stepped down. So it is very different in the Romania. This guy, Ceausescu, he's clinging to power. And but the people, you see what is happening. They want him out. So the people, you know, create their own destiny.
Very happy to have lead singer Vlad from the band Persekutor on episode 3 of the tapes. You can find us at bluebeach.tv, Blue Beach Studios 310. And Vlad, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm a fan of your band, and it's very cool. Very exciting to check out your music. Thank you.
My pleasure, Alex. Many thanks to you for having me on the podcast.
Cool. All right. I have a friend here who works here. He's a producer here, Adam. He saw you a few years ago, I think, in LA in Highland Park with Nate No Face. Do you remember that show? I think you opened that show.
Yes, it was at the Permanent Roadhouse, if I remember. Yes, Nate No Face, very nice guy.
How did that show come about? Just tell us how you kind of got hooked up with that show, and then we could start to talk about where you're from.
It was kind of a reverse situation. We already have the show booked.
Okay.
For us to play. It was going to be us to make a headline concert, play last, as we say, playing last.
Okay.
And then they asked us, hey, we would like to put Nate No Face want to play. So can we add him to the bill? And we, of course, say yes, but he is, he have many much more popular than us. So we say, well, you should make the headline because, you're going to bring a lot of Nate No Face fans who they don't know who Persekutor is. So it makes sense for you to play last. And it was a great concert that we play in front of a new crowd for us.
Yeah, very cool. It was like a heavy metal band with like a different audience. That sounds like it would have been a very cool show. Different crowd to come see your band. Sounds like a cool time. Was it a very packed show, or was it?
Oh yes, was sold out. Yes.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, sounds like it would have been a very cool show to go to.
Yes.
So I was reading online, and so reading about your story and stuff. Were you actually? You actually are from Transylvania, Romania? Is that?
Yes, the band was started in Romania. That is true. Yes, and I am from generally East Europe. Yes.
Okay. And so I think I read an interview online that basically talked about how, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you kind of things changed for you after the Soviet Union fell, and then you just basically came to discover metal bands. Is that how it went?
Yes, I mean, well, during the time of Iron Curtain, Western music was forbidden, more or less. Some things did come through. Scorpions famously did tour behind Iron Curtain in '80s. So and that music was probably some of my first experience with like heavy music was the Scorpions, because that was already there. And Iron Maiden also make a tour in the early, I forget what year it was, early to mid '80s. So they also have a little bit of a presence. You still cannot go, and at this time you could not go and buy Iron Maiden record or something. But the way all these things circulate back then was on tape. Someone have a friend in Germany or somewhere in the West where you can hear this stuff freely. They mail a tape. You trade for something else. And so this is how I come to hear all of this other stuff, Metallica, Venom, bands like this. So.
Okay, yeah. So like the underground tape trading network, kind of how is where you kind of discovered all these metal bands. We'll get back to that, but I wanted to know what was life like growing up in that part of Europe. I mean, was it a very strict upbringing? I mean, what was it like to grow up there? I mean, now that you have been to California and LA and kind of know how things go here, was it totally a different world? How did you feel growing up?
Yes, I can tell you this is very different. Yes, there was the government. So I don't know how much you know about the history and the fall of the Soviet Union, but all of the countries behind Iron Curtain, including Russia, all of their leaders stepped down, except for Romania. Romania is a violent revolt. Ceausescu, who was in charge of country at the time, the people, they drag him into the street, him and his wife, murdered on television.
Oh, wow.
In Romania. So very different than how it happened in the rest of these countries. All the other countries, they see the wall is coming down in Berlin. The tide of history is changing, Even the Gorbachev, who is in charge of Soviet Union at this time, he stepped down from his post. No one kicked him out, nothing like this. He stepped down. This happened in all the countries. Yugoslavia, which is now Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, all these places, the leaders stepped down. So it is very different in the Romania. This guy, Ceausescu, he's clinging to power. And but the people, you see what is happening. They want him out. So
yeah,
the people, create their own destiny,
Right. I mean, how do you think that shaped the culture and the people of Romania to be where you said it was like different?
Yes,
countries.
I have spent some time in these other countries, and it is different. Yes. We're also, I don't know. I think the people of Romania is very tough. There's a lot of prejudice because, big part of population in the Romania is what, Roma, traveling people, is what you call gypsy,
Right.
So there is prejudice against this all across Europe, So it's a different vibe. Where I am from is ethnic Hungarian. So Magyar language mostly is spoken. So it is a little bit different culture, but of course we have Roma everywhere.
Right.
Yes, it is. It's a different place. Also, unlike all these countries, Poland, the ex Iron Curtain countries, the ones I mentioned before, Poland, places like this, Ukraine, these is Slavic countries. We have the Slavic influence, but we, the Romanian language is closer to Italian than Russian,
Okay.
Yes.
Do you
It
speak
is
Russian?
a little bit, a little bit, a little bit enough to, they teach us this in school, when behind the Iron Curtain, you learn, now they teach English, because this is, predominant language in the world. But at the time, when we as part of the USSR is calling the shots, they teach you Russian. So I know a little bit, but I don't. I actually never go to Russia, and so I don't have to use. And it has been a long time since the wall has come down and all these things. So I have not had to use it too much.
Right. No, it definitely has been, a generation or so since the wall fell. So that's very true. So getting back to, the bands and the underground tape trading you're talking about, before you got into the Scorpions, and I think you said, Iron Maiden or one of those bands, but were you into other music before you got into heavy metal, or was that the first music you were into?
Well, it is the first thing that I hear that connect with me. We have a folk music and little bit. We don't have so much pop music then, but big Zamfir. I don't know if you know about him. He is dead now, but he was quite popular. He play an instrument called the pan flute,
right?
And he is master of the pan flute. He is Romanian, and he was quite popular in Romania and in parts of East Europe then. And this is I don't know. I think for Western culture, I think Quentin Tarantino, he used a piece of Zamfir's music in, I think was one of the Kill Bill films.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
You hear a little bit of this. But that is, that is the kind of thing you hear growing up.
Right. And so again, just let's go over who's some of your favorite, once you got into metal and like with the tape trading, who became, which of the bands that kind of really became your favorite bands at that time?
Venom, I love a lot still today. Motorhead, of course, I love Motorhead. Iron Maiden, of course. Wasp, I love Wasp.
Wasp, all right. Blackie Lawless.
Yes. He. I'm not so big fan of his politics today, but
right.
His record, the first Wasp record especially is a classic.
Yeah.
I like, what else? I say Venom, Motorhead. AC/DC is a big one for me too.
Right.
I love AC/DC. Scorpions, of course. And then, the heavier, like the thrash bands, of course, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, of course, a big one for us. So yes, I guess nothing out of the ordinary for heavy metal band, I guess.
Yeah. Was there like any specific band or moment or any like album or song that you heard that made you think that you wanted to play music?
Oh, that is a good question. One thing I see, there was, so they make, so in 1985, there is famous tour, Combat Tour, Slayer, Venom, and Exodus.
Oh, wow, okay.
There is they put out a VHS home video called The Ultimate Revenge. And it is from the New York concert of this tour. And they call it Ultimate Revenge because the New York concert was held at Studio 54, which was a big cocaine disco in the 70s and early 80s. So, it is heavy metal taking the revenge on disco or whatever. Anyway, I see footage of this, and I see Venom in 1985, Slayer 1985, Exodus 1985, and seeing the way, especially Venom, and the stage presence, the songs, the power of this. Yes, it is very inspiring. Also, every footage I see of Lemmy with Motorhead, of course, yes, it make you see the power in this, and it very inspiring.
Oh, definitely. No, that's very cool. Yeah, there's sometimes, you can see videos or, live footage or hear a certain band, it can really inspire you. So that's very cool. Venom for sure. And I think that was a pretty legendary show, Venom, Slayer, and Exodus. So yeah, definitely. Do you listen to a lot of, the very like extreme black metal, like because there's Bathory and Venom and, the earlier ones, but do you listen to any of the bands, like Mayhem or Dark Throne or...
Yes, I love Dark Throne especially. We make a cover of Dark Throne, Too Old, Too Cold.
Okay.
We put it out on a 7-inch last year, I think. I think last year.
Okay, that sounds cool.
We put out the single. A friend of ours in Los Angeles, actually, he really liked a song we have called "Suck City."
Right. I'd seen the video. I like that song.
Yes, he's in the video too. Our friend who put this out, he's in the video, and he liked this song a lot. And he said, "Hey, what about I want to make 7-inch single of the Suck City song?" Okay, and then we had just put out an album that have Suck City on it, so we tried to what do we do for the B-side? And we had recorded before, a couple of years before, a Dark Throne cover, Too Old, Too Cold.
Right.
This on the B-side, and it's on the 7-inch. But yes, Dark Throne is a big one for me, yes.
What is your favorite, I know that the thing about Dark Throne is cool is that, they're still putting out, I think, new music, but what is your favorite Dark Throne? Do you like the classic, Transylvanian Hunger? Like, do you think the newer stuff is?
I do like the classic, and I like what they're putting out now, but I will tell you the favorite period of Dark Throne is when they come out with the Cult is Alive album.
Okay.
Which is like 05, 06, something like this, I think, if I remember. But that period, and then the albums that come after it, like Circle the Wagons, FOAD, The Underground Resistance, they have a string of like 4 or 5 albums, something like this, that is very much in a new, like, sort of punk attitude style. And it starts with Cult is Alive. And this is my favorite period of Dark Throne. This is also why we choose Too Old, Too Cold. It is on this album.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll have to revisit that. They're like a band that, they have a lot of classics that are old, but then they have a lot of new stuff and they keep putting it out. So it's very cool. I'll have to check out and revisit that album. In Eastern Europe and Romania and kind of where you grew up, I mean, it might be different now, but I mean, was there a big like underground metal scene or a lot of bands playing or younger kids forming bands, or was that kind of difficult in that region and at that time?
It is for me. I grew up in an area that is quite isolated, and there's not a lot of people who is into heavy metal.
Okay.
And it was at least the time when I was there, it's quite difficult to get good equipment. So to do what you want to do is hard, which is one of the many reasons why I leave. To find musicians of the caliber that I want. I'm not saying that right now there is many good metal musicians in the Romania. So I should make that clear. I'm not trying to disparage anybody in the Romania now. It is difficult to do it. At the time I was there, the last time I was there many years ago, it was difficult to do, especially because of the isolated situation that I was in. I was not in Bucharest, in the city or anything like this.
Right.
It's difficult. Now my understanding is much better, and there is many great Romanian metal bands operating high caliber musicians and all that. So I should make that clear. But at the time I was there, this is not true.
Okay, that's cool. And have any of them maybe like reached out to you or anything, knowing that you're from the area? Or are you kind of in contact with any of the bands, or any bands you want to maybe give a shout out that are cool there? Or
I have not talked to anyone. I don't know any. Okay. I don't know any of the bands that are coming up there personally.
Okay.
I mean,
right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hopefully people can check it out, because I know metal is international, basically in every single, place where there's people. I think in civilization, I think there's heavy metal, especially now. So that's very cool. I wanted to talk about, you're talking about a couple of live bands. I think you said Scorpions and another band that they did play live. But coming from, the part of the world where you came from growing up, did you get a chance to see any bands play live at all? I mean, did you go to concerts? Was that possible, or?
I saw like what you would call like folk music.
Okay.
Band kind of thing. And there was not a lot of. I was much too young to. When Scorpions and Iron Maiden came, I was a child.
Oh,
so
okay.
I could not go to a concert. But and also it was they play in the cities like Bucharest and so
right,
not anywhere near me. So yes, I see the live music was folk music, traditional music from East Europe. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so let me ask you this: what was your favorite, or what was your first, real heavy metal or like rock concert? Like, what was the first big concert or heavy metal band that you saw live as a fan?
Well, I make a visit to the United States in 1999. I make a visit and I see AC/DC.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool.
And this was a very big moment for me because I am big AC/DC fan, and even now, it is still the only time I have seen AC/DC. But it was I was very young, but it was quite powerful experience for me
Right.
to see this band. I remember the opening band was Buck Cherry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Buck Cherry, Josh Todd.
Yes,
All right. What did you
yes.
think of them?
Well, I thought, this is the first record for them, so they have the song "Doing Cocaine on the Plane" or whatever.
Yeah.
I think this is very funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool, but I was very focused on AC/DC.
Very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. That's a huge, very first, concert, especially if you're a big fan, and I can imagine just being there and seeing a band like that level. That's cool. And like the '90s or whatever. And that's the only time you've seen them. You haven't seen them since.
I have not seen them again, unfortunately. I tried to go a couple times. It did not work out, the timing, because I was back and forth for many years. So it did not work out that I could see them again. And now, it is different situation. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, I mean, they're still out there. I know that they're older now, but they're kind of still out there doing their thing, even though they're, almost basically senior citizens, but they're still out there rocking, kind of like the Rolling Stones and a lot of their bands. So,
yes.
all right. Before we move on, I just wanted to ask, are you into, other classic rock bands or like punk rock or any other types of, rock music like that?
Yes, of course, man. I listen to as much music as I can, of all types, but yes, I mean, the punk music is very important for me, the Ramones. I love the Ramones, especially. Killing Joke. I guess there's more post-punk, but I love Killing Joke. I'm trying to think of who else that I like. There is a band called The Adverts. They have a song from the 80s called Gary Gilmore's Eyes. Gary Gilmore was on death row a long time ago.
Okay, yeah.
They make a movie about him. Tommy Lee Jones star as Gary Gilmore. And so, yes, they have this song, Gary Gilmore's Eyes. It's quite good.
Okay.
Yes, man. All kinds of things I listen to.
Very cool. What would you say is your favorite classic rock band? Like the Rolling Stones or Beatles? I mean, do you listen to a lot of that music or no?
I don't listen to so much of that, but if Thin Lizzy, if they qualify as Thin Lizzy, I would say they is my favorite. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely. It's just cool to get a lot of artists to hear their influences, to hear what they kind of were influenced by to play music. So, I wanted to ask you. So, you were based in LA at one point, and kind of some of the band members I think were. Or maybe you can tell me like how you put together the band. Was that when you came to LA and that's how you put together the new lineup you have?
Yes, I meet Inverted Chris, who is playing guitar in the band now, and he was playing in a band called Lightning Swords of Death.
Okay, yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
And the first thing I do with him is Celtic Frost cover, but he did not play guitar on that. He actually played the drums on that, and I played the other instruments and did the vocals, and that came out on a compilation many years ago. And then through him, I meet the other guys. I meet Adam Helmaris, who is a bass player now. I meet Scott Batiste, who is our old drummer. He played in a band called Saviors.
Yeah.
And then later, the new guys that we have now, our new drummer, Tyler Mill, who was playing in Holy Grail band.
Oh, wow, okay.
And Blake Mill, his brother, who play in Huntress.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I was reading about that. I wanted to, okay, cool. That's very cool that you brought that up. That's very cool. Holy Grail. Yeah. They've been around for a while. They're, known in like Pasadena area, and Huntress. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's, like another legendary band. Tragedy would happen, but what's it been like to play with those guys? I mean, did you know about Huntress, and were you a fan of Huntress?
I knew about them. Yes. I met them a long time ago.
Okay.
And I never imagined this situation. They had the great success, of course, so I never imagined a situation where I'm playing with Blake in the band, because he had his own band. But then, like you say, there is great tragedy. And he was not playing music, and I was very lucky to get him and his brother Tyler in the band. And I should mention, since this is coming up today, Judas Priest, one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time. I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Oh, there you go. All right, on. Heck yeah.
And I'm going to say, so Judas Priest is on tour in Europe somewhere right now, and they make concert last night. I forget what country they're in, but 50,000 people. And they do a song. I forget what song they play, one of the newer ones maybe, where they do like a tribute. And they put on the screen behind them a picture of the great heavy metal peoples who have passed on. Lemmy, Ronnie James Dio, Eddie Van Halen, also Chris Cornell, and then Jill Janis from Actress. They put her up there on the screen. It is on the internet. Blake posted about it today. It is so cool that Judas Priest, one of the greatest fucking heavy metal bands all time, right here.
Yeah.
Rapping them. Hey, baby. I love Judas Priest, and I love that they do this for, someone who is very important to us. So this is, I thank them. I give them big shout out. Judas Priest, the fucking greatest.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. People should definitely check it out. Rob Halford is like the metal god,
Yes.
For people that don't know, for the younger generation, one of the greatest heavy metal vocalists, and probably still, even though he's still going out and older, but I think that's very cool to give a shout out to Jill Janis, unfortunately, who passed, and it is a tragedy, and they were bigger. I have a story about Huntress where I saw them, I think maybe, I forget the year, but it was probably around 2008, between that and like 2010. It was early on, but I saw them in Hollywood at a small little club on Santa Monica and Vine called Three Aces or Three Clubs. It's one of those. Okay. And then I didn't see them again until they played actually the Ozfest 2016, the Knotfest, and they were like on one of the stages with like a Brujeria, and they had thousands of people watching them. They were great, and it is a tragedy what happened. So maybe just hopefully in her memory, that's great that Judas Priest gave her a shout out. People hopefully can remember her, listen to Huntress, and remember about mental health. Check in with people that you love and care about in bands and whoever your family, because you never know what people are going through, and sometimes all it takes is just a phone call to help someone out if someone's going through that difficult situation. So, but that's very cool to mention that. That's very cool that Judas Priest would give her a shout out. So awesome.
Yes, very cool. And I want to, while you you asked me about punk music earlier, and so I need to mention another one of the greatest.
Sure.
Band that without this band there would be no punk music. Iggy and the Stooges, very big influence for me. Those Stooges records and Iggy early solo stuff. I love that stuff. That is my favorite. And ask any of the punk bands that came later, Ramones, Sex Pistols, does not matter who. You ask them who inspired them, and they will tell you the Stooges. That is the truth.
Yeah, he's looked at as definitely one of the godfathers of punk rock. You can debate it, but yeah, I think the Stooges and Iggy Pop are very high up there in terms of, being at the forefront in the beginnings of, punk rock and this type of music, even just extreme, rock music. So very true. That's very true. That's cool that you got to mention that, because Iggy is an inspiration for a lot of people. And he's still around too, even though he's older, which is cool. So he's still playing music.
What a guy, man. What a guy.
Yeah, with the Stooges and, his solo career. So very cool. So I was listening to Persekutor and I've been listening to your albums, obviously the earlier albums are a little different, but the newer stuff you're putting out, it's kind of reminds me of honestly, the vibe I get is just sex, drugs, rock, roll, but it is kind of the black metal vibe, but more mixed with like a, Venom, and kind of just, it's more of like a party vibe, even though you're like a black metal band or heavy metal band. But I just wanted to ask you kind of how you would describe Persekutor's music.
Well, I think you did a really good job, man. And I think what we want is, I love black metal. However, the more serious aspect of it, the stuff that becomes so dense and unlistenable, and posing in the woods with a sword or something, I'm not interested in any of it. This is why I point out the Dark Throne period we talked about earlier from 2000. So on that little period there with Cult is Life. This is when Dark Throne become more punk, more attitude, and they lighten up. They have sense of humor all of a sudden after coming out of these albums that they did just prior to this that was so difficult to listen to in a lot of ways.
Right.
So what I want is I'm not interested in being I am not an experimental band. I'm not avant-garde. I don't run around calling myself an artist. What I do is entertainment, and I want something that is memorable, that you will remember. You come to the concert or you listen to the record, and you can hum this song in your head. That is what I want. That is what I aspire to. I don't know if I have been successful with this. I hope so, but this is what I want. I want you to have a good time. I'm not about standing around all serious in the photo with my arms crossed, trying to look tough or something. None of that interests me. And plus, we want to have the ladies at our concerts. You know what I mean?
Point.
And I promise you, the ladies is not interested in that other stuff. Not too many of them anyway. So, I have no problem saying this. I am here to have fun, to make party. And I want to make this clear. We take what we do, our music, very, very seriously, okay? We do not take ourselves seriously at all, okay? That is the difference. That is the important distinction in what we do in Persekutor.
Well, it's very cool because, like you said, you could tell that you're like, so-called black metal and you get in the songs, but it's also having fun. It doesn't have to be all, about Satan and depression and, killing people. You can have fun with it, have a good time, and you can tell that you get that with that vibe, with your creatings. And it seems like it's kind of just like a rock and roll vibe, punk kind of rock and roll vibe, but you could tell that you're into the black metal, which is cool. And it is, about entertaining. I can imagine if you see you guys play a show, that it's entertaining and not just dudes standing around, which sometimes that happens with bands. I wanted to ask you about, I read about and I heard about what happened in 2018 in downtown LA. I think you guys opened a show with a Brazilian death metal band where there was Power from Hell, and it ended up in a crazy stabbing. I mean, were you guys there for that when that happened? Can you tell about that experience?
Yes, it was our very first concert, actually.
Oh, okay.
They asked us to play, Brazilian band, Power from Hell. It was very cool for us to do that. So we play, we play first. We was our first show. So we played first. There's a couple of other bands after us, and then Power from Hell. And I see, at one point, I can tell that the crowd is starting to get a little more, drunker, obviously, but the pit is getting a little more aggressive in a way that is not, I don't know, sometimes you can smell the violence before it happens.
Yeah,
This is what I see. And so we have a couple of our lady friends with us at this concert. One of them happened to live around the corner downtown in the venue. So I tell them, let me walk you guys home because I think this is going to get crazy here. So I walk them back to apartment, a couple blocks, and I come back. When I come back, the whole place is surrounded by police, LAPD everywhere. I cannot even they have it blocked off. I cannot get back into the venue. My bandmate who's inside cannot get out. So I'm calling them. I can see them, but I can't, we can't go because there's police line. They have it cut off. They're not letting anybody. And I see them wheel the guy out for the ambulance, the guy who gets stabbed. So I did not see the actual stabbing myself. My bandmates did see it. Now, it is funny because I find out later the guy who do the stabbing was the exact guy I have my eye on before I leave. That I tell myself, this guy going to be a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Sure enough, that was the guy who stabbed. So, but I didn't find that out till later.
Well, wow, that's a crazy story. And, it sounds like you had that sort of vibe and feeling, and then you left just in time because, that happens sometimes. And, I would say that the mosh pits are definitely a part of a lot of metal shows. Most times it's for fun. It always depends on the bands, but there have been times where it can get out of hand and dangerous. And, unfortunately, sometimes people get hurt. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's very unfortunate anytime there's some sort of, stabbing or something like that. It happens, but maybe it was just the, people, like you said, they were getting too drunk and getting into fights where it's just too much violence. So that's unfortunate. It takes away from the fun. But overall, do you have you played any crazy shows or been crazy mosh pits, or is that not really a thing with your band?
Yes, I mean we play a crazy one also in Los Angeles at what is the name of the gigantic bunker downtown? It's a giant cement.
Is it the one that's kind of slanted, like the Regent or the Belasco maybe? Or
Not
something?
the region. It is like very Skid Row, like it's all surrounded by homeless encampment. Uh, what is it called, man?
Is it a bar?
It is a venue. They have a big stage venue, and it is huge.
Oh, is it 1720?
Yes, 1721.
Yeah.
Okay, so we play there on the bill. It is one of these. One of the guys in the bands we play with is promoter, and he put it together. He have us on the bill. It's very cool. It's a free show. It was he was doing whatever night it was, free night to get in. It was during the summer, so all the kids out of school, and they have like 4 or 5 metal bands on the bill. He put us on there, and that was a crazy one, man. Huge mosh pit, but that was a very different situation. That is more like what you say, where like, everyone is having fun. No one is looking to hurt anybody. Somebody fall down, they pick you up. That is the more, it was more this kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Than what happened at Power from Hell concert.
Yeah. I mean, no, I definitely heard about that show when it happened. I remember in 2018. I have some friends that live in that area of downtown as well, but I didn't go. But like I said, unfortunately, sometimes it can get crazy. Just could have been just people that were looking to get violent. They get too drunk, and then it's very unfortunate though. But at least nobody else was hurt or killed, and so. But it can get scary, so you always got to be careful. But I always love asking metal bands about the audience. Different types of mosh pits. Any other? We mentioned earlier you played with Nate No Face. He kind of got on the bill, but over your career, has Persekutor ever played with any other kind of odd bands or off bands that kind of not necessarily weren't metal or rock music? Any other unexpected bands you played with or opened for?
I'm trying to think. We've played some cool bills in like cool, like we did one of our very early shows. We played with Armored Saint.
Okay.
At the Troubadour, Armored Saint and Night Demon.
Okay, yeah.
That was an early one. We play at the strip club. We play at Cheetahs in Hollywood with buddies of ours who play in like a sort of death rock band called Death Crocs. That was a cool one.
Sure.
A little bit different bill.
Okay.
And we just play in Seattle. Northwest Terror Fest was quite cool, and we have our friend, all kinds of different bands on this bill, and we have our friend from Canada. She come down, and she is like a dominatrix lady, so she come out on stage with us with her outfit and her whip, and she cracking it around, and
okay,
it was very cool. Very cool. That was the last. That was the last concert we do, actually.
Okay, cool. Is that something you normally have when you play, or that just was a special?
Oh no, we just because she is from Vancouver, Kat, and so it was not too far, a couple hours, and so we knew he was going to be there, so we invite her to the show, and then I asked her, hey, would you want to come up and on stage with us and do a little, just for one song, you know what I mean? But it was cool. It was fun.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, that sounds like a cool show. And then, so coming up, I know you guys have, on July 19th, you guys are playing with Ghoul and, was it,
Midnight.
Midnight.
Yes.
Yeah, Midnight. And you're playing at the Poor Kids Mansion, who are actually friends of mine. It's a big place in downtown LA. They have a huge, it's not a venue. It's actually like a backyard. But how did you get hooked up with that show?
We know, so Blake, our guitar player, he's and us in general. He's come Dougie.
Okay.
He's a manager, tour manager for Danzig.
Yeah.
His brother lived at this house, I think.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Blake lived at the Poor Kids.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, they know, and so Blake and us, we know Dougie and his brother Russ, who do the shows, and so they. They was cool enough to put us on the bill, which is great for us. We have played with Midnight before in San Diego, but first time to play with Ghoul, and so I see, they're kind of doing a mask theme, which is funny. But it's going to be great. It's already sold out, as far as I know, so it should be, a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I can't wait. It should be a fun show. And I just did notice, there's like a mass theme with you guys and Ghoul and Midnight. Speaking of mass bands, kind of randomly, do you know about that band, The Mentors?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
LDJ?
Yes.
Are you familiar with their music or no?
Yes, I am. I'm familiar with their music. And actually, I start to watch the other day, but I've not finished it. They make this documentary, the El Duce tapes.
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, you should watch it. It's a good.
Yeah, to start to, and then I get distracted, but I'm gonna finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another really good one. It's called um, Kings of Sleaze. It's like a rockumentary. It's about the band in general. It's a really good
Yes.
It's a really good documentary about the band. I enjoyed it. It gives the whole story, and unfortunately, though, one of the guitar player just died. I think like a few months ago. The original. So there's only one original guy left. So, but they still
Yes,
play. They still play, even though he's like.
I know. So right before I leave Los Angeles, my friend Omin, who is the guy who put out the Suck City 7-inch,
Okay.
he had his 50th birthday party, and he get Bitch to play and the Mentors.
There you go.
And he asked me to do. I make a guest DJ appearance. I play some songs at the. So I see the Mentors. I see Betsy Bitch, and I get photo with Betsy Bitch, who was very cool.
Was that in L.A.?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think I went to that show, Bitch and the Mentors. That was was that the one in like in Highland Park or whatever? Or
Yes, it was the same Permanent Roadhouse, same place.
oh, yeah, I remember that show.
Yes.
Very cool, very cool.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Yeah, no, the Mentors are a legendary band, and of course, the crazy story with Del Duce. People can look that up. We might do a podcast on that later, but it's definitely a crazy story, and the Mentors have influenced a lot of bands. And like one of the wildest bands to ever, exist, even including, they've influenced Gigi Allen and just so many. So it's cool to, still hear their influence. So I wanted to talk about, the album you have out, Snow Business. Is there like a story behind that name and like the themes of it? Anything you wanted to like mention about the songs or how you came up with writing that album?
Well, yes. I mean, to me, the album is quite different than our first album. It have very different kind of songs, I think. Some of the songs from Snow Business could maybe have been on the first record, but most of them, I think, is separate, their own thing. It is more rock and roll vibe, I think. I do some clean vocals on some songs, which there's no clean vocals on the first record at all. Yes, Snow Business is well. I take this line from, I see an interview with the rapper 50 Cent.
Okay.
And before he is rapper, he is drug dealer.
Right.
And he say, I get out of the snow business and get into show business. And I think, well, I is in the show business, but kind of also the snow business because of our themes, you know what I mean? Of our songs, the winter and the ice and the snow. So I think this makes sense to me. So I think I have 50 Cent to thank for this idea. Yes.
Wow, that's very interesting, but also unexpected. That kind of crazy kind of underground heavy metal band would use some inspiration from or the rapper 50 Cent. But maybe he'll pay attention and he could. That's a cool thing. I mean, that's always cool to hear when different genres or different artists inspire different others. So that's very cool. And it's kind of a random thing, but totally cool that you kind of came up with that. And it's 50 Cent. So awesome. I also was listening and heard about this new single you guys, Vlad But True. Is there anything you want to like say about that new single?
Yes, of course. We have. So the single come out a couple months ago. Again, it is a 4-song EP. And the EP just come out last month, but the song was like, a single that come out a couple months before. I forget the date, March maybe. So this song, Vlad But True, it kind of have to do with the enemies of heavy metal. I talk about the PMRC hearings that Tipper Gold have in the 80s where she make this list, the Filthy 15, and Twisted Sister is on it, and Venom, and AC/DC, and Motley Crue, Wasp, Cyndi Lauper, and Prince. So, she was on a crusade, to get, what she felt was bad influence out of music. And so the result of this is parental advisory sticker. That's what come out of the whole hearing. But, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, he go down and testify in front of Congress. Frank Zappa, he testify off to these hearings. It was preposterous.
Yeah.
But it is the people who blame heavy metal for their problems. The people who sue Ozzy Osbourne because their kid tried to hurt himself, or they sue Judas Priest because their kid, tried to hurt himself. It is not. It's not Judas Priest did not cause this problem. Ozzy Osbourne did not cause this problem. You know what I mean? If your kid have mental health issues, you need to look into that, get them help. You know what I mean? You don't wait till there is a big fucking problem, wait for him to stick a gun in his mouth and then turn around and blame Ozzy Osbourne. It does not make sense.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, over the years, there have been a lot of evangelical Christians and people that are conservatives and just people that necessarily don't like the music or agree with its messages, but they have used the music as a scapegoat to blame, whatever. And, you're right. People that have mental illness, if they do bad things and they listen to metal, you cannot blame the music, just like with anything, so you have to always take that into account. But people will try to blame heavy metal music at times, and it is true. There are some like enemies of metal. What I wanted to ask kind of in general about heavy metal music, because you seem like a guy that's kind of into all different types of heavy metal, the death metal, black metal, and punk rock and all that. But being that you're like from a part of Europe that like most Americans don't get to, can you talk a little bit about how, and you probably traveled a lot too around Europe and stuff, but so can you talk a little bit about how and what the heavy metal culture music means to people around the world? I mean, it's an international thing, but it's definitely something that unites fans around the world. So can you talk a little bit about how you see that in people around the world that are into this type of music?
Yes, man, and I love that. I love that this is something that we can talk about. That this is a unifying heavy metal is a unifying force that do connect people from all over the world. And it is interesting. You go to a place like Germany where they take heavy metal very seriously. There's so many fanatics you can find that they go to the festivals. Wacken is the big festival in Germany. That they go and. These people, I meet them too. They travel. They come to the States, or they go to other festivals in Europe, like a Hellfest in France and the Inferno Festival in Oslo. These people travel within Europe and even come to the States to see their favorite bands and support them. You know what I mean? And I look very much forward to the day when we can go to Europe and make a tour there and get and see and meet with the fans and do our music for Europe. We have not done that yet. We have toured the United States now, which is great. A big dream for me to play US and to play New York City, Los Angeles, and all these places in between that we have done. San Francisco, Phoenix, Austin. We played the Hell's Heroes Fest in Houston a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Very cool. This is all great experience. But as someone who, have European origins, we can say, to go there and do it is another level still. So I'm very much looking forward to that and hope that we can do this soon.
Well, yeah, no, that sounds very cool. I mean, I think that's very interesting, and it's a cool dynamic where you, like you said, you have that European origin, but you've got the experience to tour, this country, and it's a big country, and I'm sure, Persekutor is going to play a lot more. So very cool. Any off the top of your head or any kind of cities that stick out as like, cities that you really loved or kind of was just a great audience or a great show in particular? I mean, LA is awesome, but traveling around, any other cities in particular that stick out is just...
Yeah, man, we just did this tour in March with our friends in Bewitcher.
Okay.
Death Chant, another LA band.
Yeah.
Great guy. We do a tour with them in March, where we do basically the whole West, as far east as Chicago.
Okay.
And Chicago was a great crowd. Milwaukee, great crowd that we play. So many cool places. Dallas, Texas was really good. San Francisco was amazing. That was the first the show on the concert, on the tour. So many great places, man. And then, yes, we just play, as I say, in Seattle at this Northwest Terror Fest, and what a great crowd they had in Seattle too. Was I'm not expecting this. I never had been to Seattle before, so first time to set foot there and see, fans and people know the words up front and everything, and this is so cool. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's awesome, and that's a pretty big metal fest they have kind of every the time of this year. So that's very cool. It seems like you guys are like growing a fan base in the region and touring and just keeping at it. So it's very cool.
yes.
what I wanted to ask, and very interested to get a musician's perspective, is about AI. It's creeping into music. We have just the crazy technology now where just AI is everywhere. And so from a musician's perspective, I mean, what do you know about AI? What do you think about AI? What are your opinions about AI in music? And do you use it? I mean, it's creeping in everywhere in society. So do you have any opinions about that in terms of music and what you do?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that the AI will never be used in any capacity with Persekutor. I'm not
That's
interested
good.
in that. To me, it is the human quality of music and art in general that gives it its power. So I don't. You want to use AI for your album cover. I mean, like, no one can stop you. I personally think it is fucking stupid. And if you're going to use it to write your music, then why are you even why are you even doing this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we write our own music. We bring in artists that we like to make the designs for our albums, for our T-shirts, and it will always be this way. I'm not interested in artificial intelligence. I've seen the movie Terminator. I know how it ends.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, exactly. It's kind of there's are obviously some tools people are using it for where it's becoming like the next Google, but on the other hand, when it comes to creative things, like writing and movies and music and art, I think it's you can't stop people from using it, obviously, and it's already been, developed where anybody can use it, but like you said, what's the point? If you're going to create something and you're a human being, create it, go through the process when it comes to music or writing. And if you want to use AI, I kind of just feel like it's cheating. If you use it as a tool, that's different, but it's being used a lot in music for sure, and a lot of other creative, applications. So it's always good to get an artist's, or whether you're a musician or whatever, opinion on the use of AI. It's only going to get worse, but it's good to know that there's still a lot of artists with integrity out there that are not going to cheat and just keep making it with humans like it always has been in terms of the art, music, and all that, and production. So very, very cool. Do you have any other, besides the Poor Kids show, do you have any other tours that are going to be coming up?
We do. Yes, but they have not been announced, so I cannot. I am sworn to secrecy for now, but I can promise you we have more coming up later this year. Yes.
Okay, and then you guys have played all over LA. I mean, coming to the top of your head, like off the top of your head, what would be like your favorite or some of your favorite venues that you've played in LA? Because I know you played in a lot of different places all throughout Hollywood and LA. So, any of your favorites?
We played a lot, man. I mean, we've had some great nights. We played the Permanent Roadhouse, which we have talked about many times.
Right.
First, small little club. It is great. Lance, who runs the place, is great. We have had many great nights there. I really enjoyed the 1721 playing down there. Was very cool. I enjoyed the strip bar, Cheetahs, that we play. Troubadour. Almost everywhere we play in Los Angeles has been good experience. We play an art space in Chinatown. I forget what it is called. Many years ago at this point was Crom.
Okay.
Another LA band. We play with Crom, and that was great. I forget what the place is called. I don't even know if it is still going or whatever. But
maybe there might be some places in Chinatown still, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was very cool. It was like, it was very cool. But yes, we've had so many great experiences in LA, and I look forward to, would be great sometime to play some of these bigger venues like the Wiltern, the Palladium, places like this. We would love to do that someday. So I hope it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, eventually down the road, as it comes to, bands that keep playing, maybe you'll eventually get to the point where you can be on a tour at a bigger bill, or like maybe open a show there, and then little by little, it'll lead up to where you can get to that point and maybe, like I said, open a show at the Palladium or open a show at the Wiltern, because that's kind of how like it happens, where you just keep going and going until it reaches that point where you're able to, after so many shows, you're able to kind of have basically network of people, and they help you get a bigger show. So that's awesome. Very cool.
Yes.
A little bit, I want to talk a little bit about the LA like underground bands. Is there, and like some of the early musicians that you started with were from some of those bands, but any of those bands that you're like a fan of or still follow that you wanted to mention in terms of like the underground LA scene? Because there's a lot of different, LA metal bands. Any that you're particularly following of or a fan?
Yes. My favorite band in Los Angeles right now is called Entranced.
Okay.
And they are the singer, James Paul Luna. He was the singer of Holy Grail that Tyler, our drummer, was in. And Entranced, they are great band. They have a lead guitar player, Philly Bibiano, who is like a real, shredder guy. And so anybody out there who looking for a great band, a Los Angeles band, Entranced, they was just in Europe. I think they just come back from Europe. They did a little European tour over there. So I'm sure they have concerts coming up in Los Angeles, but they is based in Los Angeles, and fucking great band, Entranced.
Very cool. Yeah, hopefully we'll get people to check them out. When Persekutor was like first playing those shows, like after the 2018 show you played, was it like hard to get shows after that, or kind of did you find it was easy to kind of book shows for Persekutor? Or
Well, what happened was we play that show and a couple more. We do the show with Armored Saint and Night Demon at Troubadour. We do the strip club show and maybe one other thing. And and then we play at a place called Bigfoot, a small little place.
okay, yeah.
With a band called Zigzags, another great.
Oh yeah, we've known them. They're a great band. They played here actually at our studio way back.
Yeah, they're great. They're a great punk band. We play with them on like, whatever it was. It was basically like 2 days before LA shut down for COVID.
Oh, okay.
So then, of course, like everybody else, we don't play a show for like, over a year. But then, yes, then we get going again eventually. But yes, we only play something like 5 shows before COVID happened. And then, we cannot do anything for a while. But then again, nobody could do anything for a while.
Yeah, that's a big unfortunate thing with COVID. It stopped a lot of bands who were kind of right in the middle or about to go on tour or about to, release an album and tour the world or whatever. So I feel that, it's unfortunate, but a lot of bands definitely had their plans, including global tours and whatever, put on cancel and hold. So I think we're still even kind of seeing some of the after effects of that, bands still kind of like, and I mean, even like Kiss was supposed to do their final, ultimate show before COVID, but then it just happened, I think, a year ago or two because COVID canceled it. And so that's still basically is crazy to see how, the pandemic affected bands.
Our first album come out during COVID, and I think I wish that had not happened. I wish it had, been after, but that is, we have no control over this.
Right. Definitely. It's unfortunate. Like I said, and it affected everyone, and a lot of bands were hit hard. I mean, there was bands that just had to cancel all their plans for the next year or two. And so, in many ways, I think a lot of bands are still recovering, but at least, a lot of them are back up and have albums and have been touring and stuff. So very, very cool. What was just going back to kind of the beginning, what was the reason that brought you to LA in the first place? Like, do you have family here? Did you kind of just come out to be like, as a tourist and kind of decided that you liked it, or what brought you to like LA?
Yeah, I had visited the Los Angeles before, and I liked it, and I had met some, heavy metal people in bands and stuff like that here, and so it seemed to me like a place where it would be a good launching pad for Persekutor, as a live band in the US and A. So this is what I do. Plus, in where I come from, there's not a lot of sunshine and beaches and things like this. So,
yeah.
It looked like Los Angeles looked like the promised land. So when you grew up in the 3 feet of snow, so this is another reason I pick it.
Well, no, definitely, it's alluring a lot of people from around the world. That's for sure. Just getting back to what you're talking about, where you're from. I know you might not be like necessarily from Transylvania, but that whole kind of myth and kind of history and lore, does that affect the whole region and culture of the people there? Like, is that always brought up, and a lot of tourists go there for that? Or
you're talking about the Dracula?
Yeah, Dracula, Transylvania. Is that kind of a big part of the culture and life?
Yes, of course. I am from Transylvania, actually.
Okay.
That is the part of Romania that I come from, and yes, of course, it is big tourism, and there is several castles in the area that claim to be the Vlad the Impaler castle. Only one is the real one, but they will take you to all the different ones. And but yes, of course, there is this kind of tourism and all the things that goes along with it, the merchandise and stuff. But you will find that anywhere that has, a notorious history, I guess you could say.
Right. I mean, do the people, locals there, like, would you say, for instance, that they resent it? Or, I mean, are they welcoming to it? Do they kind of like embrace the whole culture? Or is it like a negative for them? Or do they, is it a positive?
I mean, I cannot speak for everyone, of course, but I think the people who is in the business of they're happy to make money from tourism, just like anywhere else. So I don't
Right.
think it's a big problem. But it's also like it might be like the people of Anaheim feel about Disney World too. Like they're happy about all the money that come into the economy, but all the headache that come along with it, maybe they don't like that so much. That's the only thing I can think to compare it to.
Right. No, that's understandable. You can understand the money, but everything else, all the problems that come with it, you might not appreciate that. Does that in any way like affect did that history of, Dracula, any of that, did that in any way affect you getting into metal, or like you as a musician or artist?
No, because well, I mean, it is different to. I don't know. Uh, I don't know how anyone in the States would feel about like, I think when you think of, for example, you accept George Washington and Thomas Jefferson or something as like a part of your history. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Like we accept, I mean, Vlad the Impaler, Vlad the Tepsi, he is a historical figure. Whether you believe that he was a vampire or something like that, that is a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He get that reputation because of his thirst for violence. It was a thirst for blood, and this is what a vampire has, right? So it is an easy way to make this myth. So it is hard to know. I have no other point of reference, but for me, it's just something you accept as, this is where you're from, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it is an interesting story, and it is, but there are other origin story for vampire that do not necessarily originate in the Romania.
Right. No, that's definitely true. But no, I was just very curious. It's very cool to be able to speak to somebody from Transylvania, just knowing the history and knowing that it's actually a real place in Romania, in a real country. Just going back a little bit, I wanted to ask, when you were getting into like the early heavy metal bands, was your family or anybody, that you live with around you, were they like against it, or did they care, or did you like not share it with everybody? It was kind of more secretive?
I don't think that, I mean, speaking for my own people, I don't think they really gave a shit one way or the other. Certainly there was people in the village who, they think, you is Antichrist if you is listening to this music or something, of course. But I think that is true, was maybe true almost anywhere during this time period. You know what I mean? People are not very enlightened, and people still think this today, of course. So, but for me, the people around me, or friends, family, they don't give a shit about heavy metal. They don't care what music I like or listen to or something. As long as it is not too fucking loud,
Right.
they don't care, I think. But yes, of course, there's always nosy neighbor. I want to know what you're up to and why you doing what you're doing. So,
Yeah.
but that is not my problem.
Right, right. So being that you're like in this band and you're touring, and if you're a touring band and able to make it happen and make videos, I would say that's somewhat successful. So do you share any of that, or are any of your family in Romania kind of aware of Persecutor and what you do here, or no?
I don't know. That is a good question. I'm not sure how much. I'm not sure how much they keep up on that kind of thing. They know I am here, of course, and that I am pursuing music, but I don't. Just because they don't care that I listen to heavy metal or I like heavy metal or play heavy metal, then don't mean they necessarily want to hear it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Okay.
I
No.
understand everybody like all different kinds of things, and I certainly don't expect somebody's grandma to be listening to Persecutor. I know that we I know that we do something very specific, and that it is I know the kind of person that we is maybe appealing to, and I know that there's many, many more people who we do not appeal to. So I understand this.
No, you're right. It's I always love international, that it's international. It's such a huge force, but I also acknowledge too, and you got to respect that it's not a type of music for everyone. So that's definitely true. You can't expect everybody to be into it, and I would say that with every type of music. So yeah, you're definitely you make a good point. So with Persecutor, I'm not sure if it's changed, but has it always been kind of where you're the main creative like force, or is it like a creative process with your band members? What collaborate?
Well, Yes, all the songs on the first two records, I write those songs. And then on this new EP that we come out, Vlad But True, is the first time we have Persekutor songs that I did not write. I only write, there's 4 songs on the EP. One is a cover, so that does not count. But for the other 3, I write one of them. And then Blake write one of them called Cold Blooded. I write the lyrics, he wrote the music. And then Vlad But True, the title track, Inverted Chris, he write the music, I write the lyrics. So I'm hoping that this is the first time this is happening, and I'm hoping that we'll have more of this where other people is contributing more music. And it's already happening, so I'm feeling really good about it. This is great to have everybody contributing, to the writing. That's what I want.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. Sometimes it can kind of be better when you have more people collaborating, and it's sometimes when it's a band and just one person is directing everything, which that works. But I think it also is a good thing to have collaboration, especially with the dudes from Hunters. And hopefully it's a new chapter, and you guys are going to keep going with that and making more music together and writing collaboratively. So that's very awesome. Let me see here. Anything else that you kind of want to bring up, or anything you can mention? I mean, I know you guys have tours you can't really announce yet, but are you guys planning to eventually tour overseas or maybe in Mexico or anything? Or
Yeah, I hope so, man. I would love to. We did try. We had like one aborted attempt to go to Mexico. It seemed like it was going to happen, and it didn't. But I'm working on that again now, because I would very much like to play in Mexico. One of the many advantages of playing and having the band in Los Angeles is, you have such a great fan base of Mexican American fans, that come out to the shows and they go crazy. And I love this. You know what I mean? I want more of this. So I'm hoping we can go to Mexico soon. Also, I would love to do this.
yeah, Mexico definitely is a huge country for metalheads, and even rock in general. If you travel throughout there at all, especially the major cities, but basically a lot of areas where there's people, the universities, ever. People are always wearing, Iron Maiden shirts, Kiss shirts. They love metal, and they love it all. They love all types of hard rock metal, Rush, the Rolling Stones, even the Metallica. They love all bands, so they really appreciate it. And the fans out there go really crazy when you play, the death metal shows or local shows. In Mexico, they really love it. And you're right, in LA especially, there's a lot of Mexicans out here. That's definitely true. Are you worried at all about, current events, with what's going on in the country, especially with, with Trump and everything? Things aren't going well, but are you worried at all about that as a touring band or kind of just traveling? Are you worried at all about what's going on or safety or any issues like that? You have any issues that you are concerned about?
Well, I think my most concern is, on the big picture is I'm worried about a little bit the fate of humanity. But, listen, I can tell you as someone from East Europe, Vladimir Putin is not a nice guy. And what he is doing in Ukraine, which is neighbor of Romania, is reprehensible. It's horrible. I don't support this in any way. It is horrible that this government, the U.S., has decided to, it seems like they're not going to give Ukraine any more money to defend themselves, which I think is a big mistake and a tragedy. I don't support what Israel is doing in the Gaza. I think this is horrible.
Right.
And I do not fucking support ICE in Los Angeles or anywhere. They can go get fucked. I don't like this. I don't want. I think it is big fucking problem. This is what you see in where I come from, when your government uses the police against the people. This is what this is one of the hallmarks of tyranny. This is not democracy when this happens. Not democracy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I have to say it's true, and it's a step towards authoritarianism when you have people like that are just with no warrants, taking people away, and but yeah, it's sad, but it's also frightening, and we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, there's a lot of bad, really horrible shit, and it's unfortunate what's going on in the world, but I just always like to ask musicians on tour if they're worried about anything going on. And yeah, it's like you said earlier, I think people should be worried about, nuclear bombs or whatever. And it's just, we should all hope and pray that things get a little bit more, calmer and there's less warfare. But yeah, there's a lot of scariness going around. Do you know anybody personally that's affected by what's going on in Ukraine, or do you have any like family out there? Or
No, not luckily, no. I don't. But I can tell you that the people of Ukraine and the Ukrainian army are fucking heroes for being able to withstand everything that a superpower government is throwing at them. That they have not only not been crushed, but that they have resisted so fiercely, says a lot about the spirit of the Ukrainian peoples. And I give them full support. Full support.
Yeah, it's definitely a very complicated issue, and I'm against it all because I'm against really wars, and there's people dying on both sides, and it really sucks. But from what your perspective, in the neighboring countries, Ukraine, then the countries that neighbor it, you would say mainly that most of people support them, right? It's not the opposite where they're not supporting Ukraine. Like all the neighboring countries are in support of Ukraine, you would say, right? Mostly, right?
I can tell you, man. I can tell you that people in Europe and East Europe especially is getting very nervous. You see Poland, which also share a border with Ukraine, there's building up their border defenses. When you see, Finland getting very nervous, Sweden finally decide to join NATO. When you see this happen, this is all because you have a major superpower, Russia, doing this unprovoked act of aggression against a very small country, And so when the other countries in Europe see this happening, they think to themselves, who is next? And this is a good question to ask. Who is next? Someone will be next, I promise you, especially with Trump in power. He likes Putin. So he's not going to do anything about it. He's going to let Putin do whatever he wants. So I tell you, someone will be next.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's an unfortunate scenario. I think we're all, with what's going on with Iran and everything, I think it's slowly kind of leading us into another, well, we might already be there, but it's slowly leading us into just this global war where you could say it's a so-called World War III because, you got what's going on with Israel, Ukraine, Iran, and even with China. And it's slowly, I think, going to just erupt to where nobody can deny that we're like in a world war again because it's getting crazier and nobody really seems to be trying to de-escalate it. They say they are, but then they don't, and it just gets worse. So it's scary, it's scary. And just hopefully things don't get way worse before they get better. But, you never know how it will play out. But in the positive, to kind of turn it to a positive, I think that it's good that at least, like we were talking a little bit earlier about heavy metal, that's one of the only things in this world, I think, that really, truly does unite people through this music. In my experience, I found that, no matter what type of a person you are in terms of politics or race, gender, any of that, if you're in a good heavy metal band and you're playing a good show, it definitely unites everybody. So I think that's a good thing. And you were mentioning earlier how that's like international. Do you think that it's in like those countries where they're nervous, hopefully they still have like a good metal scene, a lot of bands are playing and like there's still bands touring there, right? So and like you said, hopefully Persekutor will be able to tour there one day.
Yes,
in Europe.
I hope so. I hope so. I would love to. I hope that by the time we can get over there, that we can go to a place like Kiev and that it will be a peaceful place, and that the people around us is not worried about getting bombed by Russia, and that is not something we have to think about. That is what I would like to see when we go over there. I hope that is the situation, but the way things is going now is not looking too good.
Yeah, it's hard not to be a pessimist, but you can just hope for the best, and hopefully that with everything going on in all these war-torn countries and stuff happening, that peace prevails. But we just have to wait and see. And it sucks that we have, such horrible people leading, such big nations, Russia and America, which is people that I don't think they really care about humanity when it comes down to it. They just care about their own selfish interests, and it's dangerous. So, all right. Anything you wanted to end on? Kind of anything you missed, or maybe any other shout outs you want to give? Any other thing you want to promote? With that show's coming up on July 19th. That'll be really fun.
Yes. July 19th, Poor Kids Mansion, Midnight and Ghoul we're going to make party. You're going to have a fucking great time. And then, stay tuned. And we have more stuff we're going to announce probably in the next couple months. doing some more very cool stuff. And of course, more recordings and all this to come also.
Very cool. All right. Well, just before I kind of close it out, I just want to let you know again that I really respect what you're doing because, like I said, I'm a fan of black metal and all that, but I really like it when bands kind of get out of that zone where it's not too serious and it's more of like a party vibe and positive, and it's not all negative or dark. And I think you can have both. I think you can have that black metal vibe and still kind of be more like punk and have like a party vibe, which is really cool. Not many bands do it, and I think you guys are cool for doing it to bring that different vibe to the whole black metal scene. And it's very cool. You're from LA. I'll definitely be checking you out at the Poor Kids show. Before you go, can I just get you to do like a ID for our podcast? Can you just basically say your name, your Vlad from Persekutor, and say you're listening to Blue Beach TV, the tapes on Blue Beach TV?
Okay. Hello, it's Vlad from Persekutor. You're listening to the tapes on the Blue Beach TV.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say or any final words? I mean, we kind of talked a lot, but...
said, man, you know what? I just want to touch on what you just say, which is, think about all the things we just discussed, all the world events. There's enough misery in the world. I do not want to contribute to more of this. I want to have fun. We want to help you take your mind off this, come down, make party, have a good time, take a mental break from all the shit in the world, and to come to see Persekutor.
Definitely. No, well, it's a good time. You guys are like a rocking band, and sounds like you guys are building a fan base, and I'm very excited to know that you guys have two of the members from Huntress, which is a great band. So in memory of Joe Janus, to keep her memory alive. But that's very cool. You guys are jamming together, and it should be a fun show. We're looking forward to new music and to see you guys live. So thank you again for your time. I appreciate it, Vlad.
Many thanks, Alex. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you.
You too, man.